Okay, I think we're live. We'll have to find out in a little bit here. So if you are just tuning in, you're wondering what the heck is going on this channel. I'm here in the Fritz compound where we have been working on a tank behind me in time for Christmas. And that's Evie over there. I got to point that way to make it look like I'm pointing at Evie. That's hilarious, she's right there. And Sean's walking away. He was supposed to be in the frame, but he's setting up his live stream. And then there's another stream going on IG, so it's a triple stream. And I'm hoping, yes, you are first. Good job.
Yeah.
It's Fernando from Florida.
Oh, hi.
I think it's, Hamada. I lied. Not from Florida. Where are you from? So we are going to be talking, and hopefully you can hear us okay. They're way over there. The microphone's right here. And then their microphone's way over there. So anyway, whatever channel you're on, you're either on the Fritz channel, you're on the Fritz IG channel, you're on the melevsreef channel, Fritz YouTube. There's so many choices. So we're just going to talk a little bit about some stuff just before Christmas happens.
You'll have to go from her phone for Fritz IG.
And so I thought I'd just kind of talk to you guys for a couple minutes while they're getting things set up, because once they start talking, I can't talk as much, obviously, because we'd be overlapping. So we just worked on this tank behind me. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Turn this slightly.
All right, I'm gonna go live on YouTube right now.
Froof, does that say Froof? I can't see it, the fonts are so small. It says, send me that hat. So this is the tank we were working on tonight. And it's a, what size tank is that, Sean?
That is a 48 by 24 by 10. So imagine it's about a 50 gallon tank.
50 gallons, all right. So it's a low boy, it's really short. It's great for fragging, but they wanted to set up an aquascape where it goes up out of the water like a volcano.
Yeah. Well, maybe not like a volcano, but more like a.
What would you call it?
Well, I didn't even give it much thought as to what it actually was. I just was like, you know, with all the freshwater, like everything is like really blowing up on the freshwater side. I know that's not what you love.
I know nothing about that.
But, you know, I've been focusing on a lot of the freshwater aquascaping, and they always have these really cool pieces of driftwood coming out of the tank. And I was just kind of thinking, okay, you know, maybe this was like a coral lagoon, and this, you know, it had rocks coming up out of it, not necessarily like trying to symbolize like a volcano, because this would just be a little piece of like an ocean area. And so I was just kind of thinking like maybe this was just a little cove area, and we had some rocks coming out, and we'll put some coral down in the sand, and you know, have the little ledges.
Okay.
Yeah. So
What are you guys doing over there?
we're live on mine.
We're trying not
now.
to
This
look
is my
all like
personal
cray
Facebook.
cray.
I think I've got some people on there actually
Is that
asking some questions, but I don't know.
is that the
what
live
this
stream camera? Because you got Evie like cut off. You gotta slide
It's
the
okay.
laptop a little bit.
Yeah, we gotta.
You only got
what's up,
half an
guys?
Evie.
Hey. So if you're just now tuning in.
Oh look, he's looking at the world's tiniest font.
Hey
Tilt the camera.
Josh. Hey Jamie. What's going on, guys? I just gotta.
There you go. Now you got the elf in the shot
Oh.
with the black Santa hat.
All right, guys. Well, if you're just now tuning in, I'm here with Mark Levinson with melevsreef, and really, we were just kind of in the holiday spirit. We wanted to go live for you guys tonight, do a little question and answer session. We're gonna go live on the Fritz YouTube page. We're gonna be live right. This is your
YouTube.
Mark Levinson YouTube page, and Evie is not streaming from her page. So if you're her friend, don't go to her page to tune in live. But
Go to Instagram on Fritz. That's where my phone is.
yeah. And so we just wanted to come to you. We want to wish you some happy holidays. Hopefully you guys are all at home right now, just kind of spending time with your family, spending time with loved ones, friends, messing with your aquariums, doing some really cool stuff. And we just want to hang out with you guys today. Maybe you do a question and answer session. We just got a lot we want to talk about, right? So,
We do.
Yeah. So
If you log into my Facebook
Oh.
and then put my Facebook watching the comments on your live, then we'll be able to read stuff and not worry about missing anything up here.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
okay. So
Because we
Somebody
can't
said-
see anything going
somebody
on
said
down there right now.
Over here, somebody said, I love Fritz, and it went away.
Oh!
they deleted their comments.
This chat is not fair.
Never
I'm sorry, I'll
mind.
try to be attentive to you guys so I can see it while it's there. But I'm doing it off my phone, and yeah, so.
So just bear with us while we. Oh look, I can
You can watch yourself. Can you sit in your own comment section?
see.
I have an idea. Oh, I hear you.
Oh, dope. Okay.
I watch myself.
Neato.
Got Ben Johnson on. What's up, Ben? Ben wants to know when you might share a little bit more of. Well, we're just gonna skip that comment from Ben.
Was
So-
it inappropriate? Because it's Ben Johnson.
Yes. But your name is now Marcelo. So.
P&W said, what's up?
Hi, Harley.
She said, turn on the overhead light. There you go.
Boom.
Okay.
Instant
It's a
tan.
little bit more light. We brought like a real like aperture light. for
you should see this
because we're
light.
Filming earlier.
Here, I'm gonna borrow this. I'm gonna show you guys.
Setting up this tank here. So what this tank behind me here is, if you didn't hear earlier,
Reverse.
we are doing a coral lagoon, and
Look at this
for
light.
the holidays we're actually going to be auctioning off
crazy.
this aquarium for charity. There's a local organization that we were hoping to actually set up a tank at before the holidays, but we didn't get all maybe the paperwork filed or the clearance, right? But it's called Emily's Place, and it's a facility for maybe abused women or women that might have been in a bad situation. And it's just kind of a place where they can go and kind of get back on their feet with their children, and just they have some programs for them where they can go through some educational classes, get a job, and really they do that all no charge. It doesn't cost anything to live there. And I was thinking around the holidays that, you know, I called Mark and said, Mark, we should actually go and do an aquarium at a place where children or something would enjoy it for the holidays. And so yeah, this is the next best thing. We're going to set it up and we're going to auction it off, or maybe bring it over to Dallas World Aquarium, let somebody purchase it there. We'll take all proceeds, give it to Emily's Place, and it should be a fun project.
So could you guys hear that? I mean, that's what we have to make sure we're speaking loud enough to all the microphones in the room.
It's going to be me. Yeah, it's always going to be me.
It could
that
be me
people
too,
can't
but
hear.
you're far from this one, I'm far from that one.
Yeah.
So, because we couldn't make the actual microphone system work, so we are just roughing it tonight. But I'm just going to repeat what he said in case you couldn't hear it. So Emily's Place is a place that he was hoping initially to set up a tank there. But because of rules and safety, instead he'd rather just auction off the tank behind us that's going to come fully operational. And that money that is sold for will go straight to that place where they don't have to worry about taking care of a tank for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I mean, that is fair too.
I'm actually seeing now, Gresham said that it is hard to hear, so we're definitely going to have to be a little bit louder. We're not mic'd up. We're trying to work with our, I guess that's an iPad there. So hopefully you guys can hear us. We'll be a little bit louder. Max, are you getting up to Instagram now? Or?
Yeah, Instagram's up. Yeah,
Okay.
we're live
And then we're
there.
on our YouTube. Max will try to keep track with those.
Yeah,
questions
someone
there.
said on YouTube, love your products. I use Fritz products for my saltwater tank, especially RPM salt.
Cool.
Nice.
And also, sound is good for YouTube.
Oh, good.
For the
Awesome.
YouTube. Okay,
That's
good.
good.
So it's just that iPad there we're gonna have to be careful with, make sure that people can hear us.
So you cough. Now
I
they
cough.
heard that.
I was just trying to clear my voice so I can speak louder. All right. All right, guys. Well, so Mark, how have your holidays been going?
Oh, well, they're not here yet, but I'm very happy that I basically knocked out every customer I had to be done before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so I can now hunker down for the cold that's about to hit Fort Worth and Dallas.
Right. Yeah, I know. People were worrying about that earlier today. I mean, us Dallasites, Texans,
Yeah.
we don't know how to handle the cold, right?
No, we're not
So-
prepared. I mean, we are literally not prepared
Yeah.
for it. The cold it happens everywhere. You think every year you have cold, but we don't get snow. We maybe get 1 inch of snow for one day,
Yeah.
which is beautiful, and no one knows how to drive on it.
But everyone goes crazy. They're like, "Oh my God, it's
They
snow!
do.
Cancel everything!"
And they buy all the bananas.
Yeah.
And the milk and the bread.
It's very weird the things they choose to buy, and then you're wondering what do you do, and everyone's scared to drive on it. If they just understood the rules, you never use your brakes, you just coast through everything. Stop signs are not real. You just keep moving so you don't get stuck anywhere.
If for some reason a pipe bursts inside of your house in the cold, go turn off the water from the front.
Yeah.
And I think when we had that Dallas storm a couple of years ago,
Yes.
no one knew to turn their water off in the
Yeah.
front because they'd never done that before. Like there's just these pictures going around the country of this water busting through people's attics and just
Yeah.
continuing to mess up.
Aquariums froze solid. I mean, no one understood water at all. But when we talk about cold, it is cold. Supposedly it's gonna be 9 degrees tomorrow night. That is cold, okay? I mean, that might not be Alaska cold, but it's very cold for Texans. We're used to being blistered with the sun. We run our AC like 7 to 9 months out of the year, and now we're suddenly gonna have to turn on heaters and burn fires, and hopefully the power does not go out.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay. I mean,
I
I
hope
know
so.
this house is okay because we're actually on the hospital grid here,
Oh,
so
spoiled.
we should be all right. So as long as I don't forget to pay the bill. Sometimes I do that. So
My house is directly across the street from a business electricity.
Mhm.
So all my neighbors have power, and my side's dead as a doornail. And I'm just
Oh.
looking at them, and I hate their guts.
So
It's
jealous,
just so
yeah.
unfair.
No.
Because they're behind them is like a business and the city hall and the car wash and all those things need power. So they have industrial. So residential just kind of comes last.
now, have you invested in a generator?
Yeah, I own a generator.
Yeah.
I've always owned it. Well, since 2004, I've owned a generator, and I bought a new one after the ice storm because mine blew up during the ice storm, and so I got a new one.
Yeah.
And this one runs on natural gas, propane, or gasoline.
Yeah.
So I have a way to keep power in the house, but that's not going to heat the house. My house is all electric.
Right.
So I built a fire pit this year, and I just got half a cord of firewood today.
That was today. Yeah.
That was today. So that is all there. I'm ready. If it's freezing cold, I can at least go outside and stand by a fire and drink Crown Royal.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Warms you on the inside and
Yeah.
on the outside.
Whatever it takes, right? So, okay. So some of the things that we wanted to talk about today, and I made a little notes list that I will do, is really. Let's see if I can pull my notes. Here we are. Maybe kind of. We want to talk about our escape, right?
Okay.
We want to talk about people's holidays. I think we just got done doing that. But let's talk about our escape. What are we doing here? Abby, you want to get that started?
We
All the
tried
pressure.
to do something different.
Yeah.
We tried to go more unique, go out of the tank to add a little bit more depth.
Yeah.
I
So,
mean, it's cool.
Abby was the brains
It's a
behind
little
this
different.
operation here, right?
No,
No?
no. I
You're gonna blame it on me.
placed 3 rocks.
Yeah. Maybe this was my idea. I wanted to do the lagoon style, so I think it's going to turn out pretty good. We're going to put some corals in the sand. We've got our filtration system up. We're hoping to have it done before we went live, but filming makes things take a little bit longer, and so we didn't quite get water in it. We're going to have to, when we get done with our live stream, put water in it. Do you guys have any questions about what we're building here, or I kind of thought that maybe a part of the segment we would have questions.
They just asked a question if I was going to switch to Fritz salt.
Well, if I can have anything to do with it, I will twist his arm. And so, I think you said you might give it a try, right?
I was thinking this 2023 would be a good year to run Fritz salt in my tank, and I think I want the low alkalinity one.
You want the blue box?
The blue box.
Is that the right one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want to buy the wrong box, but my tank tends to be between 8 and 9.
Yeah.
So that's blue.
Blue box, okay. So I'm going to need to get a few boxes, and each box is 200 gallons, right?
Each box is 200 gallons. Well, just
Or 160, what is
I
it?
would say if you're mixing to 1.25 or 1. What do you mix to? in your-
1.026.
1.026. So then you're probably gonna get about 180 out of it.
Okay, all right, good.
And so we kind of, we get that question a lot. People say, okay, then why do you put a 200 gallon mix on?
Yeah.
And what really kind of bases, it has to do more with the industry leader in volume of salt, right? And that's not Fritz Aquatics. That's going to be Instant Ocean. Instant Ocean has been making salt for so long, right? And they're kind of like just been I mean, it's a decent product. I would
Yeah,
say
but
that
their salinity was lower because it was a fish-only system,
it's
right?
more efficiently systems. And
So it
that's
goes
gonna-
farther.
This is going to set the stage, right?
Yeah.
And so when we are trying to talk to, like, if they were to switch over from Instant Ocean, or if a dealer switches over from Instant Ocean,
Yeah.
and we're saying that ours only makes 180, well, there's just an immediate perceived value loss there.
Yeah,
And
but
so-
all you're doing is you're putting in more salt to make the water more salty
Right.
to get to reef salinity,
Right.
not fish only,
Yeah.
which is like 1.021.
Yeah. So an area of the problem is we call ours Reef Pro Mix.
Yeah.
And so they're like, well, if you call it reef premix, you should advertise the reef salinity. And I agree with them.
So then the box should say 180, you're saying?
I honestly feel like it should.
All
As
right,
a
well,
person.
change the boxes for 2023 and I'll take the first one.
But I'm telling you, if I do that, it will create mass chaos and confusion. I mean, it's the same size box. It's just they will not let me, and even my customers.
Hang on, wait. I go to the supermarket. Do you go to the supermarket
Yeah.
ever? I know you just pick up from Walmart at the curb.
I
But
do. Yes.
I used to walk down the aisles and I get these huge boxes of Cheerios.
Yeah.
And now the new and improved is this big and costs twice as much. So if there was a smaller number, I think we'd all just say it's COVID. Nothing else. That's what's causing this to be less salt in the box.
I think the problem would be as a dealer gets their salt and they have already been, it's been years, right?
Yeah.
Fritz has been advertising this is the 200-gallon box for years.
Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden someone goes over to the box, it says something different. It's just, even, I mean, there was and that makes a good point. Like I switched over the bottle to the Fritz calcium, like the Fritz RPM elements. I switched it over from new packaging, new labeling, right? I wanted to stand it on the shelf a little bit more. And I wanted the calcium to match the red box of
RPM.
or no, wait, the calcium match is blue, so it matches the blue box. The alkalinity is red because we have RPM higher alk, and so I changed the alkalinity to red. It used to be green.
Okay.
And I got in a lot of trouble with one of my customers because of the change in packaging. And so if you've had something going for so many years and advertising a certain amount of gallons, if you just suddenly change it, there will be mass chaos.
Okay, then I have another suggestion. Because,
Yeah.
I'm always full of great ideas.
Yeah.
Put more salt in the box. Get me my 200 gallons. Put in an extra scoop.
They actually, honestly, they want me to put less in the box.
Of course they do!
Because when you ship salt,
It's heavy.
if it's over 55 pounds, or over 50 pounds really, there's a surcharge.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think
That's
Ken
true.
from saltwateraquarium.com was on here, and he would have said, Sean, I want a 49.5 pound box of salt, right? And,
Yes.
and so,
Yes.
because I'm paying a $20 surcharge to ship it, so.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and everyone's getting free shipping. No.
Yeah.
No one's getting it for free. It costs money. They're paying the money.
yeah, someone's paying
Someone's losing money.
$20-ish to ship that box of salt, and so it really kind of dives into the margin. I mean, no one's really making a lot of money off salt.
Let me talk to you guys a little bit about small business for a second here, okay? I have been selling things from my website, and a lot of people from this channel buy one thing and put it in a box, and they don't even like paying that shipping, which I'm not making any money on the shipping, I promise you. I usually lose a little bit. But years ago, Premium Aquatics had a sale, and they said salt is free shipping. And I was like, fantastic, send me 16 boxes. So they sent me this giant amount of salt, and then I called them up. I said, how are you getting free shipping? This is amazing. And they said, we don't get free shipping. I'm like, but you're giving it. I was like, yeah, we know. I'm like, so who's paying the shipping? I just assumed you're mailing thousands of packages, and so UPS just gives you this many free boxes a month or something. Like, no, we pay for everything. I said, okay, well, then how do you make money? And he said, well, and I was like, hang on. Are you saying I should have bought other things besides salt to make money? And they said that would help. And I felt really bad. I felt like I should have added like 50 filter socks or something so they'd have some profit, because salt is like a break even or
Salt
a
is
money
a-
loss.
Salt is really, I mean,
'Cause
most
it's heavy.
companies, it won't be a loss leader, like truly, like they're gonna set it up to where at least they break even.
Yeah.
But it would be kind of considered a loss leader. Similar to, PlayStation, when you sell a PlayStation, you're not really making a lot of money off the
Yeah,
PlayStation.
it's
but
the games.
It's the games, right?
Yeah, and
so,
subscriptions and the buy
Yeah.
in the game add-ons.
Yeah, and so with salt, I think Fritz puts out the best product they can.
Yeah.
They can absolutely, as much value as we can pack into,
Right.
a $72 box of salt.
Yeah,
And then we set the price as low as we can so that we can break even, but
Right.
we can get to create a relationship with our customers, give
Yeah.
them a great product for a middle of the line price in the salt industry, and then therefore we sell our elements, which
Right.
is why I was working on the packaging
Yes,
to the
yes,
elements,
yes,
right?
yes,
so,
yes.
So that's kind of the loss leader in the salt world.
Yeah. Same thing happens with Home Depot. I don't know if you guys knew this. I used to work at Home Depot a long time ago, and you get a water heater below what it costs them to buy it.
Really?
Let's say you paid $99 for a water heater, they paid like $110. But then that stupid pressure relief valve was like $25. And then you had to get those copper hoses, and that was like $18 each. That's how they broke even on a water heater, because everyone needs a water heater but you always replace everything at once. So instead of charging a lot for the water heater, they just hit you with all those 3 accessories you had to buy.
That's why they push the hoses and the fittings and the service plan.
Yeah, the warranty. Yes, the extended warranty. Yes.
And while you're buying a refrigerator, you might as well get granite and new cabinets for your kitchen.
Of course.
Right.
Throw those in.
Yeah. Just throw it in. It's a $20,000 package.
Yeah. So that's the reality of free shipping. It's not free, even though it's wonderful and we love it, and Amazon spoils us.
Yeah.
I mean, I ordered a new tripod, which I showed you guys on this stream last week, and I took a picture of the box. I never shared the picture. The box from Amazon was this big, by this big. I mean, it was huge. I could have put like, I don't know, 10 pineapples in there. And it was this little skinny box about this big.
What are they
It was
gonna
like
do
matches.
about that?
Like, why don't they shrink it? Or literally put the label in that box. That would have been fine.
Okay, so eventually that's going to become an issue, right? Like, we can't just keep pumping out cardboard boxes
No.
for everything.
No.
Like, I mean, maybe it saves fuel to people to shop from a home. Maybe it saves retail space. Maybe I'm not sure. Like, there'd be some arguments of what it saves for our world to shop from home. But what about these boxes, right? I mean, like, eventually that becomes the issue. Peanuts.
Well, see, for me,
paper.
it's kindling for my new fire pit, so I'm fine with it. But
But I mean, even if you can recycle these,
Yeah.
the process, the energy it takes to do. What I was thinking is if Amazon were to introduce like a program where you take your boxes, they have certain sizes, like they're very uniform in their sizes.
Right.
If it's a package, it goes in this size box, which
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're probably already in that size.
yeah, that must.
Right? And then so when you get Amazon deliveries, or if you have your Amazon delivery day, you put out your boxes. You save your Amazon boxes, you put them back out, right? And they pick them up and take them with them, and they fill the truck up before they leave, but as they're delivering packages, space opens up, right?
Right.
So they file those boxes away, and then they take them back to Amazon, and Amazon gets boxes back, right?
No, I know. I mean, I feel the same way. When I ship sumps, I need a lot of packing peanuts. Thousands. And then the customer gets it. What am I supposed to do with these? I was like, send them back. But even though it's like this giant black trash bag full of peanuts that weighs like 1.5 pounds, it's still $55 a ship because of the size, because it's so big and fluffy.
Man, is that valuable to you?
No.
No.
No, that's why I asked the club, if you have peanuts, please don't throw them away. Just give them to me. And I come to club meetings and people hand me their trash. And I go home and pack my orders because we use the peanuts instead of sending them to landfills. I mean, I was trying to help a little bit.
Yeah.
But in the end, I mean, we were at Home Depot today.
Yeah.
You had to get that one fitting for the pump.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing in the plumbing section, all the PVC parts now are sold in a plastic jar with a screw-on lid made of plastic. And aren't we talking about too many plastics? I mean, we used to go in the box and get 5 fittings and throw them in your cart. Now you have to buy a jar, you'll bring home your fittings, and you throw away another chunk of plastic.
Yeah.
We're going the wrong direction, I feel. I don't know why Home Depot's chosen that route. There must be a reason. But they're doing it.
Well, I mean, it's
I'm just
eventually going to come to the head at some point. But, I think that, oh wait, Corey Barnett says, 25 in Texas, 40 in Florida. Oh, these guys are talking about weather here. Not
Yeah,
really
they're saying it's nice and
contributing-
warm in Florida.
They're not contributing to our plastic conversation. And so,
I have a couple of comments on YouTube.
Yeah, what you got?
Brian says RPM saw is the best hands down. And then pertaining to the cardboard talk, I gotta pop out them cardboard boxes though. And then Jason Langer says Mark wants a barrel of salt.
I want a barrel of salt. Do you do more than the boxes?
oh, you know, see,
Or do you only have like the 1,000-pound
we
bag?
have, we have a super sack, right?
Yeah, it's a giant bag.
It's a 2,000-pound bag.
Yeah.
But okay, so this is my deal. I know
2,000.
that Seakim, right,
Uh-huh.
does the
The barrel.
1,000-gallon barrel.
Yeah, 1,026 gallons.
Why do you want one?
I love it.
No, I mean, but like, what is?
Well,
the
first of all, it's small. It just sits in the corner of my garage. Yeah, it's not like a huge 55 gallon. It's smaller than a 50 gallon. It's like a 40 or something. I don't know. It's smaller. It's got the sealing lid. It's double bagged.
Yeah.
And I just open it up. I open up the second bag. I scoop what I need. I seal it up. It never gets clumpy. It never gets ruined.
Yeah.
My garage is also temperature controlled, so it doesn't have an issue. And I, like I said, I make very sure I press out all the air.
Right.
Because the salt uses anhydrous, is that the right word?
Hey, I
To
think
be
they might
super
use
dry?
anhydrous magnesium. I'm not sure if you can.
I think it's called anhydrous, and it
Yeah.
just means it's very, very dry, and you do not want it to get moisture inside of it.
So, but what if you need to move it?
I never move it. I
It's-
use it until it's empty, then I move it.
It's 250 pounds.
I think it's more.
Well,
I've been telling people 500, but it's probably not
that's
quite that.
275.
Yeah,
I think,
it's heavy.
right. If I'm thinking, so a 55-pound box of salt
Yeah.
does 200 gallons. If their guys are in the same ratio as me,
Okay.
that means that this 1,000-gallon container is
Yeah.
275 pounds.
Yeah, that sounds about
It's
right.
not easy to move.
No, the last time I got one, I talked the delivery guy into putting it in my garage because I had a cracked rib, and I
Right.
said, "I'm sorry."
Did you crack it moving the?
No, my
That would
best
be-
friend broke my rib. Thank you.
Wow.
Her husband. I was just like, God, I'm still mad at him. It's been a year and a half.
So my only thing is, and then I came to my boss, right,
Yeah.
Mike Noche, and some of you guys may know him. Mike is an amazing guy, but he's also like very like realist, right? And he's a devil's advocate for sure. And anytime that you guys come to me, you want a new product, I go to Mike and I go, some people have asked for this product, right? That's my job.
Yeah.
He goes, well, 1,000-gallon, maybe a 275-pound
Yeah.
bucket of salt. You're telling me that's more convenient to people than a 55-pound box of salt.
Yeah.
Just sell them 5 boxes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then they can grab it and move it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then we're double bagged as well, and we've got like these zip ties and things. He's like, I think it's cool to people, Sean. I think it's cool that they get a unique barrel.
No,
that's
it's not
big.
that. It's
But
not cool. I think it's a convenience factor, and I think I saved money, believe it or not. But you also keep in mind too, if you're getting salt delivered to you, you know how you receive it.
Yeah.
You get beat up boxes, and invariably your
that
beat up
thing is-
box is on the bottom,
Yeah.
and then everything leans on
Yeah.
the top.
It starts
So you have
slowly
to.
crushing.
So you always put the best box on the bottom and try to get your stack good.
You know, that's a good point. I mean, that is a really thick cardboard. Because Mike told me, I wanted it in the beginning. I was like, oh, Seagam has it. I want that. Right? And so I try
love
to
that.
convince Mike,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he's like, well, we don't have that packaging.
Yeah.
And I go, so I'm walking through the Fritz facility.
Right.
And Fritz does all sorts of things. Fritz
Yeah,
is a
and you saw
chemical
my barrels.
and engineering company, right? So we make products for a lot of industries, agriculture, wastewater treatment. Like,
Mhm.
well, Fritz is, a lot of specialized divisions, right?
Yeah.
With scientists and microbiologists. And I see one of the other departments, and they have those same buckets, and they
I
have the
knew
same
it.
thing on it.
I
And
knew it.
I ran to Mike's office, and I was like, you have those buckets. He's
You
like,
should have walked in with it. There it is, right
it's
here.
right here. Just fill it with
You
salt,
liar.
and we're good to go. And he was like, Sean, no, I'm not making another SKU.
I love that.
So,
That's funny.
But-
That's funny. We're not doing that, but you actually own the container.
but after years and years
Yeah.
of kind of being in the salt industry, I kind of agree.
Yeah.
I don't want the big 1,000-gallon thing. I think it's just much more convenient to have the, and also thinking about shipping of pallets, right? You ship 4 of those to the pallets, right?
Right.
So that's 4,000 gallons of salt.
Yeah.
But I can ship 40 boxes to a pallet, which is 8,000, so it just helps with shipping.
Yeah, and I
more
think the
economic.
delivery guy, it's all hard for him,
Yeah.
or even bring him to fish stores. They have
Yeah.
to bring that 2-wheel dolly, and that
Yeah.
guy has to get it off his truck. I mean, you're right.
Seems a little inconvenient, right? So
A little.
it's just a little bit. But yeah, no, I
Yeah.
appreciate the comment about the salt. I'm not sure you said that, but thank you.
Jason said that.
Jason,
Jason.
love Jason.
And Bahama Llama Coral commented. He said hi.
I like
Hi,
Bahama
Remy.
Coral. We're gonna be doing some things with Bahama Llama next year. Sorry, I know he called me this week, but it was such a tough week, and I already had Max yelling at me that I wasn't available enough.
Right.
And then while he was yelling at me that I wasn't available enough, Evie came in the room and was like, hey, I've been trying to message you all day. And I looked at Max and was like, see?
Oh my gosh, that bus hurt real bad.
Okay, so other topics we want to talk about, right?
Let's talk about putting corals in new tanks.
Yes, I wanted to bring it to that. So we filmed earlier, and some of the people that are watching on YouTube might be new from the Serpa Squad, right? So Serpa Squad guys.
Serpa Squad, in case you couldn't hear that.
If you are part of the Serpa Squad, thank you so much for coming to the Fritz channel. We recently did a big saltwater tank setup for Tanner, and we set the aquarium up with Tanner. It's his very first one. We loaded it with rock, we loaded it with sand, the whole filtration, filled it up with water, and then we went to see Stan Thien from Tidal Gardens, and Dan and I got together. I've been doing saltwater for 23 years. Dan, probably much longer than me.
Yeah,
And he's got a giant facility, and we're like, do we feel like we can put these corals in today?
Mhm.
And we felt like that we could
Mhm.
with our professional experience. And with as much as, we very much loved, kind of getting and engaging with Tanner's viewer base, we saw some confusion. We saw some people kind of like, well, can we truly add these corals the first day? Is that responsible? And it just kind of raised the question in our mind. And I'm filming with Fritz now, doing our YouTube channel, and it just kind of gave me a different perspective of things. Like me, I would be totally comfortable with doing it because what we understand is that coral, it kind of provides bioavailable, not bioload, right? And so it's not really going to be an ammonia creator source. And so also with me and my involvement with Aquashella, we see people set up coral tanks all the time, put coral in it right away, and it's just a little bit different than setting up a fish tank, right? Yeah. But then we've also added the Fritz TurboStart, right? Which is what probably our best product is TurboStart, and we know that we're adding the nitrifying bacteria. We did it on film, but we still had some concerned people that we didn't do the right thing, and so it just kind of poses that question. And so I said to you earlier this week, when you come to the live stream, let's talk about it. Yeah. Let's talk about it and let's be transparent. I'm not afraid to be wrong. Yeah. But I kind of wanted to be able to share with the Server Squad if they're watching. Again, I so appreciate your concern, and really, honestly, we want to always do what's right for coral, for our fish. We never want to just make a video to create views. It's not really just for business. I mean, we're in the aquarium industry, and we want people that are our consumers, and maybe even if they're not, to feel like Fritz is a heartfelt company. And so there was the concern there. So let's start talking about it, Mark.
Well, when you have anyone coming into the hobby, the goal should be for everyone in the industry to keep them in the hobby for as long as possible. Yeah. There's no benefit of just selling you a bunch of stuff and you quit in 1 year.
Oh, it's absolutely.
And you tell 10 people how much you hated it and how it cost you so much money or whatever, and how the death and the losses. That's not good for anyone. Yeah. That's not good for the industry. It's not good for the company selling. It's not good for the livestock. It's not good for the reputation of the hobby itself. So, for me, on my channel, it's always been education. Right. And I know you're trying to do the same thing. And when I watched the video, I also thought, those corals went in too soon. Right. But I asked Sean off camera, would you have done that if there was no cameras? And he said, absolutely. Yeah. I said, okay, then that's not a wrong thing to do. However, if you had done that in your own tank, or like you said, a tank for Aquashella, it's because you have all this experience. Right. Tanner doesn't have any of your experience. He's a freshwater person. Right. So would he even know what the signs are that the coral's not doing well? Right. He would say, this thing's so neat, and I like the way it flaps in the breeze. Like, well, wait, that means the skin's coming loose. That's not good. Too much flow, something's wrong, coral's in distress, but he wouldn't know. Right. So I felt like if I had done your video, in hindsight, after it's done, and you could do that with any of my videos too, okay? Right. You could literally say, I would never would have said that. Because sometimes I don't do script, I speak off the cuff. I've done that forever. But in hindsight to your video, I think I would have loved it if Tanner was in Tidal Gardens. Yeah. And Than says, I think this is good for you, this is good for you, this is good for you. And he's like, all right. And then you're like, all right, so let's bag it up. And then Than says, I'll see you in 3 weeks. So I would have loved that.
So I actually, that conversation did happen. And so, Max is here, he's our videographer. The conversation actually did happen, and we did pick out a few corals for Tanner that we felt very strong and secure about setting up because of how hardy and how well we thought that they would do in the brand new aquarium. Right. And then we did pick out some super exclusive pieces too that we said we should come back and do, right? Yeah. And we actually said, kind of set it on film, but we couldn't put everything in the video, right? And now in hindsight, we would definitely put that part in the video.
30 more seconds.
I honestly didn't really anticipate that to become the issue. I mean, we did bring it up.
Well, we all care about the animals. And in the case of if he had said, I'll see you in 3 weeks, Tanner would have done the sad face. You would have done the, are you kidding me thing? And then, you would do a follow-up video in 3 weeks. Now the tank's rocking and rolling. He's already learned not to let the tank overheat or get too cold at night or whatever happens in that room. And he would have, the tank went through a little bit of a cycle. Maybe he observed the cycle. I don't know. They do cycles for freshwater tanks too, right?
Yeah, Tanner's been setting up freshwater tanks.
But I mean, do freshwater tanks, they do the whole thing, right? Yeah. Ammonia, nitrate like us?
It goes exactly the same
I literally know nothing. Okay, so they do that. So he's used to having to wait.
Yeah. No. He's actually used to not having to wait.
Oh, so you don't have to wait with freshwater.
So with TurboStart, I don't think people realize that you do go, provides the actual nitrifiers in the aquarium
Okay.
instantly.
All right.
To where it can handle ammonia and convert it to nitrate. It goes to nitrite to nitrate, and like it's like that.
It's
and like
rapid.
we actually did a study with Texas A&M
Okay.
Corpus Christi, who showed kind of how it works. And
Mhm.
generally, we have the ammonia develop, and as the ammonia develop, as the ammonia comes up first by itself, and then
Right.
as it comes down, nitrite comes up.
Yes.
Right? And then those cross, and then as nitrite peaks and then starts to come down, nitrate develops.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
I've tracked
And
this
so-
myself.
And it's about a 40-day process, right?
Yeah.
But with TurboStart, you never actually see those.
It doesn't
It
have.
goes boop, 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 and
It's just magical.
yeah. Well, it's just adding the proper nitrifying
Yeah.
bacteria, and I think so much of the confusion is there has been other products
Yeah.
that have said, "Oh, cycle your aquarium immediately,"
Mhm.
but they're not true. Like it's not nitrosomonas, nitrobacter, nitrococcus. These were like bacillus-based bacteria because
Okay.
a lot of companies will start off with this this hope of, okay, well, I'm going to sell nitrifying bacteria, right? But then when they have the pressure of making it shelf stable and putting it on the shelf for maybe 3 years, or having a shelf life of that long,
Right.
well, nitrifiers don't work that way.
Okay.
And they also need a degree of temperature control.
Yeah.
Well, when you start to look at distribution channel and storage and warehousing,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily have that luxury everywhere, and so these are going across the country on trucks, and it might be a very cold truck.
Right.
And if it falls below this temperature, now it's ruined.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And so the pressure then is to change the product to actually make it to where it can be on the shelf for 3 years, or
Uh-huh.
it can go without temperature control. But TurboStart doesn't do that. Like TurboStart, we actually ship it second day or overnight in some cases. We do heat packs, we do cold packs.
So how old is it at Fritz? Like you make it and then it goes out immediately, and
we make it.
you're
in it.
literally like. I'm trying to understand the time frame.
Yeah. So
We're not talking about something that sits on a fish store for 3 shelves,
So
3 years.
At Fritz, it's like a brewery, right? It's like so you'll have these 5,000 to 8,000 gallon stainless steel vats that make this product,
Yeah.
and it's just like it's got controllers on it. It's
Right.
monitoring pH. We're adding different exclusive elements to this to kind of create the nitrifiers. We actually go through an exclusive process to create the bacteria. It
Yeah.
creates a very thick concentrate, and then we actually do a process to put it in our bottling, right?
Right.
That all happens, from that concentrate to the bottling in a few days.
And then how long will it be good after
6
it leaves
months.
you guys?
6 months.
And it doesn't have to be refrigerated.
Right, and so imagine trying to put that through Petco's facilities.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just not going to be able to.
Right.
But TurboStart and distribution to Petco probably won't happen. I mean, it might.
Yeah.
If we can develop that relationship to where we can get them and especially train them
Yeah.
to handle this product. But it's got a quick turnaround. It's
Yeah.
going to be expired in 6 months, and so we. It's more of a local fish store product,
Yeah.
or it's more of like we have a few select places you can buy it online, like Gingerbread Coral or saltwateraquarium.com, Baybridge Aquarium, people that we know that can ship it correctly
Yeah.
and make sure it's temperature controlled. But it very much has to be handled carefully.
Okay.
Most people don't want that struggle,
Yeah.
so they go with more of a temperature control product, so it doesn't work as well because
Yeah.
they've now sacrificed the integrity of the product. Right?
Yeah, because like 25 years ago, I bought something from the fish store that was in the refrigerator, and it was to activate my cycle.
Right.
I don't know what it was. I can't remember. I feel like it was bio something.
Right.
Biospira. I don't know what they called it,
Well,
but
I think at first Biospira was refrigerated, and then it wasn't.
and that might have been what I used. And
So-
that was my first cycle for my 29 gallon. That was a long time ago.
Right.
And ever since, I either cycled a tank or I did a tank transfer.
Yeah.
I've never used TurboStart.
So TurboStart, though, it is refrigerated. It is temperature controlled. We do handle it correctly, right? And so those nitrifiers will cycle your aquarium. And I know it seems like, pixie dust, right? It seems like,
That's just magical.
right. It just seems like it's just too good to be true,
Yeah.
right? And then it seems kind of very irresponsible, especially for us that have been in the aquarium industry for a very long time, right? It's a very irresponsible move, right? But now let's think about it from the flip side, right? Put yourself in a retail store and sell an aquarium,
Yeah.
right? Sell an aquarium, and I've done this for years. I worked at Dallas North Aquarium, and I used to sell people on aquariums.
Right.
And I was super excited about the process. I would do out their stack for them on our carts, and they were like, okay, this is how you're gonna stack it. They would take pictures of it, and they would try to stack it just like that. They're gonna go home and set it up themselves. And I'm gonna try to teach them everything, set up their filtration, go through the whole process, right? What happens when they set this aquarium up?
It's not set up correctly.
No. Well, they don't. They set it up properly, but
Okay.
then what do they want to do?
Oh, they want to fill it up.
And who is the most impatient country in the world?
The United States.
Okay, all right. So now we're on the same page, right? Now you're an impatient America, and you want to set up you've just set up a beautiful aquarium.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Put fish in it,
Yeah.
right? And inherently, even though you're brand new, so you're brand new, Mark, right? What do you want to do? You want to put fish in it, right?
Yeah.
And so, TurboStart is a product that I'm really proud to have because it does provide nitrifiers available for those brand new hobbyists that want. So for me as a salesman at Dallas Smith Aquarium, I loved the product because I give them TurboStart and be like, hey, listen, we're not going to go and buy 10 fish here. We're not going to buy 20 coral. We're not going to buy a bunch of stuff here.
Right.
But what we are going to do is we're going to use this TurboStart, since this was before I worked for Fritz, and we're going to add a few things. And it
Yeah.
would satisfy them.
Yeah.
Right? If I didn't do that process for them, you know where they would go? To the
To
next
another
fish
store.
store,
Yeah.
and they buy it, and they come back the next week with ick.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
Now you've got ick in your
Yeah.
system.
They're like, how did that happen? You didn't buy fish for me.
Right. and then
Yeah.
and then now that they have ick in their system, the life cycle of ick and treating that. And we talked about having the absolute success for hobbyists, right? And that's probably the biggest pain in this industry is when people set up an aquarium and they start to go down the wrong path and then they have disease in their tank and now they're completely broken because they've done this the wrong way.
Yeah.
And honestly,
Now it's 10 times more work.
yeah, I honestly feel like that's the biggest reason why people get out
Yeah.
once they've gotten in. because
Abby,
it's-
you worked in a fish store for many years.
yeah.
Did you have to turn away customers, or how did you handle the whole "I want my fish today" thing?
Well,
You probably just said no.
it honestly just depended on the fish, right? Like, I'm not gonna let them take home an Achilles.
Yeah.
You know? So if they wanted to start off with a fish, that's where I'd have to start. A lot of times, if it's a damsel, yeah, but then I always give the warning, you have to get it out eventually. So just know, your rock stack's gonna be not so hot after that whole thing transpires.
To catch it.
And then they don't think about that, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, so, I'm gonna wait? You wanna try it out?
Yeah.
How you wanna do this? A lot of times, clownfish are typically the best starter.
Yeah.
Well, that is a dangerous fish.
They're,
Right?
they're still
Yeah,
a
they're a
damsel
damsel
fish.
family.
Yeah,
And clownfish
and they're
can get
hardy.
mean too. Especially the
Clownfish-
tomato clown.
Clownfish can get mean, cinnamon fire clowns. That's my personal favorite for drawing blood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
those are good ones.
so I guess Abby's answer was she would be willing to give them a fish, but I mean, you probably have to watch that cycle. Would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the customer, right? So if the customer came in and I already knew that I assisted with it, they either got turbo or they did 50% water for one of my established systems.
Or maybe live rock.
Or
something
live
like that.
rock,
Probably
they
because when you were
certified
working in the
sand.
store, live rock was such a big deal.
Live rock was a very big deal.
Now
As long
live
as it
rock's
was
not.
cycled,
Yeah.
as long as it was cycled live rock. Because
Yeah.
back in the day, because I've been doing this so long, we used to
Uncured.
really get
Cured and
nasty, uncured, got a little bit of that foreign newspaper still.
People
Yeah.
don't know that
in
process these
there.
days. Like I would
Yeah,
say
that
maybe
was
10%
fun.
of the people watching know the differences between the cured and the uncured rock and that process and all
So,
that stuff you bring
just
in.
in case you don't know about live rock, when you buy this from the store, if you can find it anywhere, or if you buy it online, the first thing you want to do when you open the box is smell it. Smell it really good. And if it just smells like the clean ocean, it's perfect. And if it smells funky or rotting or sulfuric, it needs to go into a tub of salt water for 3 weeks or so with good circulation.
Is anyone
Maybe
still doing live rock?
I do. I just
You
set
do?
up a tank with live rock 6 months ago.
With live rock, wow.
I ordered it from Florida. I ordered overnight, and
Yeah.
it cost like $100 in shipping. I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Just get me my live rock. And I set up that tank, and within 3 weeks, I had my first fish in there. A week after that, I put in my most expensive fish ever. And people are like, man, that was pretty daring. To buy the
What's your most expensive
month?
fish ever?
that Interruptus angelfish.
Nice.
Yeah, would you tell any of your consumer base to put an Interruptus angelfish within 1 month?
No, but I did show them I went to a full cycle. Matter of fact, when I filmed that, I filmed my tank every day, showed the test result every day, and I did that thing where it's sort of
Yeah.
not time lapse, but it was like day 1, we're at this, day 2, and I did the voiceover, and I showed it go through the cycle,
Yeah.
and then I showed him putting in that fish, and then I showed that it's alive a week later,
Yeah.
and I was like, now we're gonna get the angel, and I
Yeah.
put that in.
No, and that's the differences, right? Like,
But we
you know,
have more experience
You've been doing
than
YouTube.
Tanner does with his brand new tank. That was
Right.
the difference.
Yeah, and so I
Someone
think
that's not familiar with saltwater.
So I think that is really kind of the way to look at it. And I mean, for me, I would have done it. I mean, for Tanner, I would do it because I know that I'm going to talk to Tanner daily, right?
Yeah, if
And-
you're going to stay on top of it,
Yeah,
you
I
can
mean,
help
Well,
answer the
Tanner and I
questions.
are friends, and
Yeah.
if anything looks, and I also know Tanner is a very good hobbyist as well, and he understands the cycle, right? And so I think that he will. I know he's smart enough to, if there's anything that's looking incorrect, and it wouldn't be because of a cycle.
Right.
It would be because of something else that was out of balance.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't ever worried, and I was talking to you about this earlier. I was like, let me give you my thoughts on this. I was like, so as I set up the tank, and I was thinking, I was like, I feel like there's no chance of a cycle because I know that we put overabundance of turbo start in there, and I feel very confident in my product. He's got a heater. I know the temperature is going to be set correctly. I know I feel pretty good about my flow because I use products I was familiar with.
Yeah.
I set them in the right places, and I feel like he's not going to have. We didn't put enough coral in there to create a massive consumption of calcium, magnesium, alkalinity. So I don't feel like there's going to be any need to do a water change right away or to adjust those parameters. And so I'm like, I really don't feel like there's going to be any instabilities in this water. And so to me, I felt comfortable adding the coral because I felt like Tanner. You know, if anything looked incorrect, Tanner would be smart enough to let me know, and it would be something that may have been, you know, it might be a flow issue. Maybe they're getting too much lighting. We didn't glue the corals down, and so we didn't glue the corals down. We kind of said that in the video in case we wanted to move it around.
Yeah.
We did use hardier coral. That you know, like we said, we left a few corals with Than that he was going to get later, and we kind of went with the stuff that we felt comfortable with, and we talked about it on the video with Than.
Right.
But that part of the video didn't come out, and I told for any of the Surface Squad or anyone even interested on the YouTube community segment, Max is going to grab that footage for me, and I'm going to actually put it on there so we
Behind
can
the scenes.
talk about what we did. And in hindsight, we would add that. But then also other things I learned in hindsight is I probably would fully explain a little bit better through that process. Like, hey guys, I feel comfortable doing this because I've been doing this for over 20 years.
Yeah.
If you're a brand new hobbyist, you know, maybe only put one coral in.
Yeah, a test coral.
Maybe only put a couple of fish in there.
Right.
But like we only put 2 fish.
Yeah, you put 2 tiny
Yeah,
clowns. I know.
yeah, and that's not going to create ammonia. So that's not.
I do want to ask you about the turbo start again because it's a product I'm not familiar with. I heard somewhere when you pour it in the tank, you have to add fish within 24 hours. Is that true?
You do have to have ammonia because TurboStart is live nitrifiers, right? So if you don't have any ammonia source, they're starving.
So you just wasted them because they'll just die off.
They'll just stay off. Well, they're not going to certainly like get stronger
Right.
and colonize. And
But that's the
change
point.
their
You can't just pour this in to kind of get your tank going. You pour it in with the fish.
You need an ammonia source, or you
Yeah.
can use a fishless ammonia source. And so it really depends on where you're at. And I know that if you feel more comfortable adding, we have what we call fishless fuel, or I mean, you don't have to use a Fritz branded product. I should tell you to do that, but me, I'm always just like, okay, you know, I try to. Well, we talked about this earlier. You know, you need to add ammonia, right? And so you add ammonia to your aquarium. That feeds the nitrifiers. The nitrifiers grow and continue to colonize. Right?
Okay, so when I started my frag tank years ago, I took a piece of raw shrimp like I always do. I go to the deli, I tell them, give me the whole shrimp.
Right.
One shrimp, please. And they always look at me like I'm crazy. Why would he buy one shrimp? Like, just one. It's for my aquarium. They're like, okay, they think I must be feeding an octopus.
Yeah.
They wrap it up, it's $1. I take it home, I just drop it in the tank, let it rot for 3 days.
Well, let me
And
tell you.
then I take it out.
Yeah.
Now, if I had thrown in my shrimp for 3 days, on day 3, do I pour in the turbo start or do I pour in the turbo start with the shrimp?
You do it right away, but I wouldn't do the shrimp.
You just skip the shrimp.
No, I would do
You
it.
just put in all the frags.
No, I would do it. I would do it. Like, if it was me, I would know I could put in the coral and some fish that are going to create real ammonia.
Okay.
like real
Well, I'm
fish.
not familiar with the product. That's why.
I would not do the shrimp because that's going to create all sorts of other waste.
Well, yeah, I wanted it.
Like,
I
that's
wanted
gonna-
the 3-week cycle.
Yeah, but
That was my
it's
goal.
going to create more than like ammonia, right? It's going
You
to
think?
create like I think it'll actually create phosphate. It's going to create like it's just going to create like it's just going to be very dirty like inherently like it's.
Could be.
And so I probably wouldn't do the shrimp because that's going to be all sorts of stuff in your water.
Well, I only put it for 3 days and then I remove the carcass. I
Right.
don't leave it there to like melt away over the next
Yeah, you
eons.
remove that carcass, right?
I take away the slimy goo and then my tank is cycling and I don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah, so that probably would be different.
And that's how I've always done it.
I think
if
that-
I had to cycle a tank, I'd throw in the shrimp.
Yeah, I think that other people would just leave the shrimp in there and it just decaying for a
Forever.
long time.
Or other people would say, I bought the cocktail shrimp. Like, no, you need the whole animal with the head. And they're like, they put in all these tails that nothing's happening. Like, yeah, there's no way. It's
But you can just add ammonia, and then I'm comfortable with whichever way someone feels comfortable.
Yeah.
Like me, I've been doing it, again, my very first aquarium was a 55-gallon Instant Ocean Special, right?
Mhm.
You remember the Marine Land one that, like, you know, it came with the Emperor 400.
Right. That
and
was the kit.
The kit. I
Yeah.
got the kit. And that was my very first tank at 15
Mhm.
years
That
old.
was my first tank.
Yes.
So I was
Nice.
younger.
And then I put a prism skimmer in the middle,
Mhm.
and then I put a Penguin 330 on the right side,
Yep,
and
I had the
a
Penguin
Marine,
one.
Marine Land 660 on the for my power head,
Mhm.
and I got the power sweep
Yep.
in there.
That never swept.
Yeah.
But it
And then
stopped.
it stopped. Yeah, you had to clean
It
it out all the
stopped, and
time.
you're like,
We actually fixed one of those in our video, right? Like
Power
the
sweep.
power sweep, 660.
The power
So-
suite that doesn't speak.
So, but I did see, I noticed someone from our super squad was just like, hey, you know, they kind of made notation. Now, this would just be one individual person, and I can kind of sympathize with them too, so I'm
Yeah.
not upset at all. They kind of said, well, Tana's brand new. Fritz should have known better than to advise me to do the coral right away.
Mhm.
And then someone made comment that, like, you know, maybe the Fritz guy doesn't care about coral or know what he's doing, and you know.
That's
And
the
I was
problem
just
with the internet. I
And I was
mean,
just like, well, I've been
everyone
doing-
looks guilty till
I've been
proven
doing this
innocent.
since I was 15 years old, and
Yeah.
I've got 23 years on it, and
Yeah.
like I've been doing this, evolved through all the segments of the industry, so I did very, very comfortable. But what I did realize, what I was trying to get the point is, I did realize that because I didn't used to make YouTube videos,
Mhm.
I kind of did it because as the evolution of Fritz, you know, we've worked with different YouTubers, and we get very close to them, and I give all of my thoughts, my passions,
Yeah.
my different ideas, right? But with so many times you can't. These channels will grow,
Yeah.
and maybe eventually, you know, you've got competitors coming in, working with those YouTubers, and you might lose your favorite influencer,
Mhm.
right? And if you've got all of your hope into that, then it's crushing, right? Because you develop all your kind of cool stuff.
The relationships, yeah.
And so, to me, I kind of realized then I want to build our own YouTube,
Yeah.
right? And even though that I never wanted to do that, that's what we're now doing, right? And so there's a lot of learning process through that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And one thing I never never really thought about was, okay, you know, I'm being me on the video. I'm doing what I would do.
Right.
I haven't quite learned how to talk to the brand new first day person and understand how they're going to take my information in and
Yeah.
where their mind would work this way or that way.
Especially
or
when they
this way.
take a snippet out of the whole video
Yeah.
and didn't even listen to the rest,
And so,
which does happen too.
because we did talk about putting turbo start, and we'd hopeful that, you know.
Yeah, I saw you pouring it in.
Yeah.
How much did you use? The whole bottle?
I don't think we did. I think we sent them enough for 400 gallons.
And what size was the
It was
tank?
like an 80-gallon tank.
So you put
But-
in 400 worth or
No, I
200
think probably
worth?
about 100 worth, right?
100
Like we
worth,
put in
okay.
fourths of the bottle. So we overdid it. And TurboStart, it can eradicate 5 parts per million ammonia, which is outrageous ammonia, in 24 hours. That's how fast
Yeah,
it can
that's a
take down
lot.
ammonia.
Yeah.
So, and we do this for, what people don't realize is we do this for giant public aquariums,
Uh-huh.
for big aquaculture facilities all over the world. We'll ship this to Singapore,
Yeah.
China, to Japan, and we've been doing this for 30 some odd years, right?
Mhm.
And so we're very comfortable with what the product does. But
Yeah.
as I was saying, some of the people in the industry don't trust the product because there's
Right.
been other products that
Mhm.
that have claimed that they will cycle the aquarium, but it
Yeah.
still takes 3 weeks.
Right.
We're very confident
Yeah.
that our product does what it does. We
Okay.
handle it with care. But what I do understand is I don't want someone to have watched that video and add 8 very expensive corals
Yeah.
like I did.
Right.
Even though I will feel confident doing that, I will probably change my decision next time, and either I'll still add a coral, but I will kind of very clearly explain, hey, I'm going to add a coral to this because I'm confident in how we set this thing up. I'm confident in the entire balance, the temperature, the
Mhm.
flow, the rock, the way I set up my filtration.
Yeah.
There can be mistakes that maybe a new person would make
Yeah.
that would create a problem of 3 or 4 days in that they wouldn't realize.
Right.
And if they didn't realize that and they put the turbo start in and maybe they saw something later on, now they've got 8 corals in there, now they've got a big problem. And so not thinking through that process and and explaining that process
Yeah.
is something I'll learn as I go, right?
Yeah.
And so so I would explain it differently, very clearly with Max, my videographer.
It's really
so-
challenging when you have to go to a destination like Tank did. Tank would fly to a guy's home, they deal with a crisis, they'd solve the situation, they put in the livestock, the people walk in, there's a big applause, and the tank's amazing, and everyone leaves.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the story for that tank, but yet that tank has to continue to live forever with people that have people that cook for them.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even, I mean, I'm sure there's a small percentage of all those people that got tanks on tank that actually were hobbyists, and then most of them were famous people that just wanted something really cool, and they had a company that would do it.
Yeah.
Now, what we can do with the beauty of YouTube through editing, you can literally do a thing where it gives a better impression to the viewer. For example, and this is lying, but I mean, this is a method that could be used. It's been used in schools.
Yeah.
You talk about do this, now wait this long, now do this. Same with cooking.
Yeah.
You watch a cooking show. We just made the pie. You open the oven door, you put it in, and you pull it out, it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, they can do it forever. So I mean, in the edit of Tanner's Tank, you could say, all right, Tanner, let's go to the Tidal Gardens. And then Max puts in the magic, like the rippling screen 8 weeks later. And then it says, let's put the coral in your tank. And even though you did it that day, I mean, like I said, it's lying. But it would, at least for the casual viewer, they're like, okay, it took some time.
Yeah.
I need to be more patient.
Well, you can take
It's
that.
just something you could, but if you're not going destination, if you're local area, you literally can go to Tanner's,
Come back.
go to his house, do it, come back in a few weeks, check on the tank, talk to him about his questions. Third time you come back, we're putting in the corals. It kind of becomes a relationship.
But what if you actually wanted to show people that they can trust TurboStar?
Yeah.
What
Well,
if you-
that's the thing. You got to prove it, and that so you have to say, all right, we're doing a test.
Yeah.
We're gonna get somebody that's never had a tank in their life.
What
We're gonna put a
What
TurboStar
if you actually
and
want
8
to
corals
prove-
and see what happens.
Like, hey, I know that you might have been burned
Yeah.
by, product A, product B, product C.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives that TurboStar a black eye because someone's
Right.
been injured before using
By something
a
else.
bacteria.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that's what we're dealing with here.
Okay.
And we're also dealing with the actual fact that a brand new hobbyist
Yeah.
may set up their skimmer wrong, may set up their pump wrong, and
Yeah.
maybe they should be a little slower than maybe an
Yeah.
expert
Yeah.
that knows what they're doing,
Right.
right? And so I think that just going forward, you make the video, you tell people, hey, again, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
You may make a mistake in this process.
Yeah.
So I would make sure that this flow is working for a while, that your temperature remains stable, that you check your parameters. Then check that for
Yeah,
3
get
or 4
used to
days.
the system. Learn to the
Yeah,
weird sounds
check
it
that
makes.
for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Make sure you're comfortable with how everything's operating.
Mhm.
Then go get some TurboStar.
Mhm.
Then put it in. Then add a few fish.
Yeah. And then see how it does.
And then see how it goes.
And then get that flag.
Right. Well, I would actually feel more comfortable.
That's
putting,
my way of doing it.
Would you feel more comfortable putting a fish or coral in your tank first?
I always put a fish first.
Right.
Always.
But so.
Because if the fish isn't swimming, there's no way I'm going to trust a coral. I'm a coral guy.
Right.
Not that fish are expendable,
Right.
but I would put a fish in, and I want to make sure it's swimming right side up for a while. I'm like, okay, that looks like a good sign. I think I can start putting in a new zoanthid or a
Right.
gorgonian or emerald crab or something interesting. Some
Right.
other invertebrate.
So what Dan said is like people don't realize that coral is more bioavailable and not bioload.
Yeah.
Because coral is going to add to your bio,
Yeah.
right? And it's going to help to stabilize the aquarium because it's not creating a bunch
That's
of waste.
interesting.
And so that was his response, and I feel like I agree with that sentiment. And so it's really just kind of teaching people that. So I
Yeah.
would actually be willing to add coral to my tank first, and then kind of make sure that that's doing okay. But
Well, when
would
I
do
was a
it-
kid, my dad had a big saltwater tank in his bedroom that had predators.
right.
And I think he had a canister filter under it. And then he had another tank in the living room that had an octopus, and it had an anemone, and it had a 3-spot damsel, and it had, did I say octopus already?
Yeah.
Yeah, the octopus, and we had a jar in the kitchen with goldfish to feed the octopus. That was the only freshwater we had. And I wanted a tank. And my dad says, well, what do you want? And so we went to the fish store, and I said, well, I think I want a 20-gallon long. I like the shape. And he said, all right, we'll do that. And then I said, well, but I kept hearing, because I'd hang out in the fish store, they'd say you're allowed 1 inch of fish per gallon. And I was like, what? There's a limit to how many fish I can have?
1 inch per gallon.
Yeah, so
Remember
20 inches total would be allowed in a 20-gallon long. And I thought, I don't like any of that. I said, what about inverts? And they said, oh, you can have as many as you want. It's like, really?
I remember that. Rule.
So I got hundreds of hermits, and I had 2 coral banded shrimp, and I had 2 cleaner shrimp, and I had emerald crabs, and everything's crawling over everything, and it was awesome. There wasn't a
For about
fish in
2
there.
days.
Your first tank was all invertebrates.
Invertebrates, yeah. As a
Oh.
kid, I was 11, and I had that tank for a while. It wasn't 2 days. It went for. I'm gonna guess.
Didn't
I don't
have
know.
like a crazy massacre happen. Like nobody was
I
punching
did.
each other out of
There
shells.
was a horrible massacre.
Yeah.
Crabs?
Let's just
That
say.
many crabs in a tank?
I came
I
home.
mean, they're
from,
dragging other hermit crabs
No.
out of their shells. Get out of here!
I came.
Love this house.
I either came home from school or got up for school. It was either before or after school, and like everything was dead in one day. Like they all died, and I didn't know what happened. And the corbin and shrimp, like I said, they were a mated pair, and the one had ripped the arms off the other, and she had the eggs in her belly. And I'm just like, what is going on? And I think it must have been morning, because when I came home from school, it was gone. The tank was gone, everything was gone. My dad just erased it, never happened. And I just assumed it's because we used tap water from the city, because we didn't use RODI back then.
Yeah.
And I think we just killed the tank with copper or something, because it's all inverts. And inverts are sensitive to copper. But I don't know what killed them. I have no idea to this day. And my dad will not remember, so it's no point asking him. But I remember I filled with inverts because I didn't like the rule of you only let this many fish in your tank.
Well, see, that's really kind of because that store associate didn't know that inverts would count as a biome.
Yeah!
They misled you.
Yeah.
Right? And so, again,
It was awesome.
going back to that,
But yeah.
that Service Squad member, or to anybody that was watching that video, I mean, I absolutely feel like we were doing what was best for Tanner, and what was best for the coral and the fish. And we wanted to show the whole process. We wanted to kind of show its complete process, and I felt very comfortable.
It'd be awesome if Tanner called right now and said, so that chalice, I have a question.
Yeah, I promise you. Well, think about it. Think about it. We know that Tanner just introduced saltwater
Yeah.
to maybe hundreds of thousands of freshwater squad,
Yeah.
freshwater heads, right?
Yeah.
Tanner, a Service Squad freshwater heads, right? We don't want him to do it incorrectly,
Right.
And so
That's what I was talking about before.
and we also realize that they're going to be watching Tanner's tank set up. I mean, we wouldn't be foolish enough to set Tanner up for failure.
Yeah.
And then a month later, all of his coral are
No, we
dead.
want him to be successful.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we feel very confident that these coral are going to be just fine. We chose hardier coral, things that were very okay to add.
All right.
And so we're gonna be with Tanner every day.
Okay.
I'm
I'm gonna stay on team wait a while, but I understand what you're saying.
And
I'm not even saying agree to disagree. I'm saying okay, you do
I'm gonna
yours.
scoot over into your zone.
I like a little bit more time.
I'll scoot over into your zone on the team wait a while too, because now that we are talking to a brand new consumer and I'm understanding that YouTube platform more, I would probably choose, hey guys, much more explanation up front.
Yeah.
A lot of education, and kind of saying, hey, listen, if this is your first time setting up a tank, first time setting up a skimmer, first time setting up a pump,
Right.
and I want you to wait to make sure
Yeah.
that you set these things up appropriately. Wait a week, 3, 4, 5 days. Make sure that this thing is all operating smoothly. Add some turbo start in there. Add something very basic, a button polyp, a clownfish. I wouldn't suggest a damsel because damsels are mean. And I would do it.
Damsels.
I would probably do it differently now that I'm realizing I am talking to that very first person, and I just kind of did it the way I would normally do it, right? And did it
Well, that's the
awesome.
point.
Right.
And that's the other thing people have to always keep in mind too when they're watching any of us do stuff on our YouTube channels. We're not showing you every single minute of what we're doing. We can't, because if we did, it would be called living with us. And secondarily, a lot of times this is literally how we do our tanks, and you just happen to get to see us do it with footage. In other words, you said I would have set up this tank this way in his house or his wherever he was. I would have done it this way, and I'd come on. I'd visit his tank every 2 weeks as part of my service fee or whatever, and this is how I do it. And we would make adjustments, and he would learn, and hopefully at some point pass off to where he's doing it himself completely. Maybe.
Yeah.
It depends what you're trying to do as a businessman. But in the case of YouTube, I can't speak for all channels. Some channels are shock channels. They want to do something. They want to grab your attention. They want to be funny. They want to be exciting. They want to be dangerous.
Right.
Mine's always been slower, methodical, anticipate the worst, outwit Murphy's Law as much as possible for as long as possible. And I continue to show good and bad on my channel. And I've always felt that was important. And I explained when things didn't go right. I explained when things went right, because you need that positivity too to keep going.
Yeah.
But the fact is that the decisions I've made on my tank, I'm making them 24 hours a day. I'm constantly thinking how I'm going to do next to my tank. And then if I share that on YouTube, you're just not hearing 23 and a half hours of thinking. You're hearing the 30 minutes to talk about it.
Right. No, I completely understand. And I mean, I feel like these YouTube channels need to be very educational. I think that, hey, entertainment is great.
Yeah, I want to be funny. I want to be more education,
But
entertainment.
it won't be Fritz's
But I can't do it
either to be the entertainment channel. And
Yeah.
it's I've traveled along with a lot of influencers,
Yeah.
And helped with their pages and growth, and really kind of witnessed a lot there. And I really want, and when I read through the comments and some people were upset, I took it hurt. I'm like, I've been doing this for 23 years. I absolutely care about every single fish and every single hobbyist. Right. And I want them to know that I'm not there to just try to entertain and get viewers. I want to educate people, and really kind of as we go, and even watching Tanner's channel, your channel, Aquarium Co-op, Corey McElroy, he's a great example, Primetime Aquatics, KG, Rob Lupton, like all these guys are my favorite influencers, and I love the way that they're doing it on an educational format and putting that first. And there's many others as well. Right. And I think that I want to educate first, but do it in an entertaining way. Yeah. And when I saw Tanner make a 45-minute video, 45 minutes, and I've always been told 10 to 15. Do not go out of that range. Right. You're trying to cram it all in, right? And we even Max, that was a 20-minute video, right? But we were like afraid to release a 20-minute video because we're afraid to bore people, we're afraid to not make it to the end. Yeah. But Tanner was like, no, don't worry. Be yourself and watch. If you be yourself and you educate and you put these right points in, you'll keep them for the full 45 minutes. That's even better, right?
One of my most popular videos is a 1 hour long video, and I was so worried. I mean, I edited that thing for weeks, if not months.
Trying to trim it down.
No, I felt it was not good enough. I kept saying this is no good, no one's gonna like it, it's horrible, I wish the camera was better. I mean, I just hated everything about it. But I said, I gotta finish this stupid video. And I kept working on it. And then one day I just sat at my desk. I didn't care how, I just took Tylenol and I just, because my neck was killing me, I was like, just keep going and just finish. And I spent 13 hours editing. I was like, this is it. And I had to also get in the mindset of this video has never been on YouTube before. Yeah. It was the tank of Joe Iulio's 20,000 gallon reef. Yeah. And no one's ever shared it on YouTube. I was literally the first one. So there was no one to beat. I didn't have to do better than someone else. Yeah. But I felt like it had to be good. And I was still so worried because it's an hour long. It was long. And so I asked my audience, what do you guys want me to do? Do you want 4 15-minute, do you want part 1, 2, 3, 4? What do you want? And people were like, the longer the better. And I was like, what? So then one guy said the one thing I needed to hear, and it all just clicked. He said, I know how to use the pause button, Mark. I was like, oh my God, he's right. So that says that that's it. I'm making a 1 hour video, which was huge. Back then when I filmed this, it was a huge file on my computer, and I had to upload it through like DSL speed, which was, crawling. And it took 6 hours to upload to YouTube.
Paper flow across.
Oh, it was so bad. 6 hours. And I was so afraid because it was like 2 a.m. I'm exhausted, right? I've been going for 13 hours of editing. Now I hit upload and it's like almost 1%. I'm like, oh my God. So I said, I'm going to bed. But what if my computer goes into sleep mode and it just abandons the file? So I set my alarm for 59 minutes to wake me up. And I went to bed. And at 59 minutes, I jumped out of bed and I ran to this and I moved the mouse. And then I went back to bed and set the timer for 59 minutes. I did that for 6 hours in a row until the whole file was uploaded. I was like, it's on YouTube. I'm done. And I went to sleep. And people really liked it. And I've had so many people say, I have watched this over and over. And it's a 1 hour video.
Yeah. I mean, people will do it. Now, but what does data suggest?
Oh, everything says 8 minutes.
Well,
8 to 11 minutes is what you should have.
And then what does data suggest even now with reels and shorts?
Oh,
and
yeah, I know. Max is telling me to do shorter videos.
The attention span of the average person is very fast. And so, as someone that wants to educate someone, which I do, I really do. I want to educate. But I'm trying to get it in because I realize people's attention span is short.
Yeah.
My attention span was so short in school
Yeah.
because I'm ADD, right?
Yeah.
And most people that know me would absolutely agree. They'd be like, "You are ADD."
She's smiling.
And so, but like to try to put it in a format where they can understand, you're trying to compress it, right?
Yeah.
And so, but they suggest that you absolutely have to make it quicker. But after watching Tanner and watching his video, the 45-minute, it was just so good.
Yeah.
I fell in love with Tanner even more because I was like, wow, he gets to be himself. He gets to slow down. He gets
Yeah.
to talk clearly.
Right.
And even when we were filming this today,
Mhm.
we talked a little slower. We
Yeah.
went through the process a little bit better, and I felt more comfortable doing that after kind of seeing him be successful doing that. But
Max
again,
will still do it in 4 minutes.
but again, it's it remains to be seen, right? Because you don't want to lose engagement. You don't
Right.
want to put a bunch of facts in the beginning and then them not get to the end and then not to be able to see it. So you're trying to put the bullet points of the most important stuff and kind of keep their attention through the end of the video
Yeah.
so that they can get the whole piece. And it's just like a teacher trying to teach a class full of kids.
Yeah.
They go, okay, well, what I have to understand how these kids learn.
Right.
And so I'm learning how people learn and what they may do with the information.
Yeah.
And so with YouTube, I've just been like letting Max,
Mox
Mox.
from Italy.
Max from
Max.
Germany.
Months.
letting Max follow me around and he'll instruct me as I go. Speak
Yeah.
louder.
Well, he's got so
be
much
clearer.
experience too.
Max is
I've got over 600 videos on my channel, and out of all my videos, I did one clickbait.
right.
Just one. And I was like, it is kind of clickbaity, but it is the truth.
Yeah.
It was the angelfish, and I said, this angelfish is more expensive than a house, and everyone was watching it, and they're like, oh, there's no way, and what is this, a $200,000 fish? What's going on? And I explained, like around the 11-minute mark in that video. See how my video was longer. I said, back in the day, I bought a mobile home that was condemned for $1,500. And in 1 week, I remodeled it, and we moved in and lived there for 14 years. So that fish cost more than my house that I lived in for 14 years.
Right.
I thought it wasn't.
No, even
So
less.
it wasn't a lie, but everyone's like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, they're like, that was close. Like, I know, but it would just, this video had to be that way.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should have said your first house.
Yeah.
Because-
Yeah.
You know,
More
like,
than my first house.
my first house.
Yeah.
I don't want to do clickbait stuff either. Go
I have
ahead.
a couple things to add too.
Yeah.
So a couple of people were backing you up, Sean, and they said, I always start my tanks with turbo start, never had any issues, and I don't wait.
Yeah.
So there's a couple comments with that, and then, sorry, I'm just trying to find the comments. Sorry. Oh, yes. So Brian asked, how long should someone wait, or how long should someone mix before using RPM safely?
So you can really use it within, I would say, half an hour to an hour of mixing. As soon as it's clear, it's going to stabilize, right? And so, actually the longer you mix it 24 hours, you mix it 48 hours, the more possible precipitation you might have. So I would always suggest people use it, mix it to use, and as soon as it's clear, you can see through it, you test it through your refractometer. I would give it 30 minutes to make sure it's at the appropriate temperature as the temperature in your water, and then use it, right? And so you're gonna have to test your water's temperature. You're gonna have to get a heater and match it to that temperature. And as soon as you match, you're good to go. So what would you suggest, Mark?
The only thing I would say is I always make sure the salinity, the alkalinity, and the temperature match my tank.
Mm-hmm.
And if those three match, I can change as much water as I want.
Yeah, and then again, realize that, okay, so you're doing a 10% water change, right? The difference that's going to be created in your aquarium if you're doing a 10% water change or a 20% water change is 10 or 20% of the difference of those two numbers.
Right.
So if your alkalinity is at 8 and you put an alkalinity of 9 in
Yeah.
your water from the salt, you're
Right.
doing a 20% water change, right?
Mhm.
That's pretty reasonable, right?
Yeah.
It's only going to raise the alkalinity up
0.2.
to 8.2.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
is that fluctuation going to be harmful
No.
for your coral? And so,
But the closer they are,
the better.
The
right.
absolute
It's best practice.
less surprises.
Right. And
Yeah.
so again, I mean, because I've been responding to people that have done water changes for years, and one said, "Hey, my calcium was 400, and after I did my water change, my calcium was 600." And I'm like, "You don't?" And I was like, "How much water do you change?" "Only 10%."
5 gallons.
I'm like, "You don't realize that
Yeah.
my calcium would have to have been at 4,000 parts per million to raise your calcium to 600."
Yeah.
Right? Or I think I might have done my math wrong, but it would be.
Oh, that's great.
Oh wait, here Ben Johnson says, this might be controversial, but I've been using Fritz salt for over 10 years, and I mix small amounts of water changes on clients' tanks every single day. Now the devil is in the details how I get it mixed, but I use it within 5 minutes of making it. Now, of course, I would recommend to have it mixed well ahead of time, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. You've got to realize, though, I've been doing this for 20. So he's already learned his lesson from my conversation here, right? It's like when you're talking to people that might be doing it their first day, right? Or when you're talking to people that have been doing it their first year, you really have to tailor the information.
Yeah, because your audience is everyone.
Expecting the possible worst response to it, and only taking a snippet of that information. And so,
let's say you took.
Bobby Moon says, "I always use it right away. You only live once." And Bobby Moon said he was leaving earlier. Bobby, thanks for coming back. I love Bobby. He's outrageous. He just does, and I respect what he does. He goes and runs around and does this thing, and he just is. He pushes the limit on every single episode, and so I mean he's even challenged me quite a few times. You know, with kind of the way things do things, the Aquashella platform, the show platform, talking about value and kind of what the e-commerce platform or the I guess doing live streams and stuff, and so. But I love what Bobby's doing. I'm glad he came back. So, anyways, there's the question to you're mixing salt.
If I mix Fritz salt and it's in a sealed container, how long is it good?
A sealed container mixes Fritz salt.
Like a jug with a lid.
I mean, it's gonna be good for months.
Weeks? Months?
Months.
Okay, that's
Like
what I thought.
Mike,
There's no way for it.
Mike does it all the time. Mike, my boss at Fritz, he makes a big vat of it, right? And he just goes and pours his water out the vat, and he's good to go. Now, that was when he was over on the other side of the building in a different office, but he would pour straight salt water out and use it, and it would be fine. It's a lot about the way you mix it. It's the way you churn it. Like some people experience precipitation, but it's really about the temperature of the water, the storage temperature as well. You never want it to get above 80 because it starts to precipitate. You don't want to churn it hard. And beat it down
I
hard.
agree with you, and I think one of my problems I've had with my vat, I have a 250-gallon poly tank, and I have inlet at the top where the water comes in, and then it goes down to the bottom where I have a Vectra pump that sucks it, moves it up. And I think, and I added extra plumbing. I put a fitting at the top, and then I added a valve to a fitting in the middle and a fitting down low. And the reason I did that is as I was using it up, the water falling was like thunder through the vat, and I could hear this thunder in my living room watching TV. So I changed this valve to go to this valve, and I started thinking about this. You talked about precipitation, and you talked about how if the water's churning, that actually what happens is it's mixing CO2 into it, so it's going to depress alkaline, it's going to depress pH.
That's going to precipitate out.
So really, it's better to mix it closed loop style. So have the pump and the circulation. I mean, think about it. If you have a trash can, you throw a pump in the bottom, it's just spinning quietly. It's not cascading and rippling and crashing.
And most people misunderstand that. You're bringing CO2 in there, which is going to depreciate alkalinity. You're going to get out of ionic balance. Because once your alkalinity falls, then your calcium and starts to fall with it. And once, it's like a domino effect. Once it starts falling, it just can't stop it. Now, and then it's even worse than that. Because you're going to precipitate calcium carbonate out into
the walls.
The walls. Now, when you do a water change, that will continue to suck in calcium carbonate. It pulls more of it. And so it's fast. So what you have to do once you've already set your situation like this, and this comes from years of experience. I'm not a chemist, right? But this is what I've noticed as I go around. I've gone to fish stores that have had calcium carbonate
the brown walls,
the side, and they're complaining about tanking alkalinity. And I go, we need to get that calcium carbonate off the side of the barrels because it's just could perpetually get worse because it draws it in.
That makes sense.
So they use muriatic acid, right? And people I thought if you wanted to make a video that a bunch of people tune into, because Max and I go all over this, if you wanted to have something that was clickbait but true, but I used acid on my pumps and my mixing barrels, and people would be like, acid? You're using acid on anything fish? You're crazy. But you can use citric acid, you can use muriatic acid, and you can do it safely, and it's going to get that stuff to slough
it'll
off,
melt right off.
and then you're going to start back on a healthy situation. And so my advice to anybody with a mixing barrel would be I actually use, I used to use Corellia pumps, right? Because that was the first wide flow spread impeller, open, and that was the best way to do it. You use a Corellia at the bottom, and then maybe one at the bottom, one in the middle point, and it just flows that water through, and it'll be good for months. But if you use a hammerhead gold, it would just bust it and lots of churning at the top.
It's too much.
And
I think that's been part of my problem.
And so, but now I would probably have all the pumps that I would recommend would be the Ciche, like ones that I would just, they're wide flow, and I would
you can put them on the side with a magnet.
I use their sump pump as my one because it pulls from dead zero bottom. I love that sump pump, and it keeps the stuff from coming into it. And I don't work for Ciche, so this is an advertisement. But I
sell their stuff though, so it's okay.
No, I love that Ciche pump, and I love you could set those things up to where it sticks to the side of your mixing barrel. You put it in the middle, and it's gonna keep it flowing. And that's what we do at the Aquashella shows. We just kind of keep them going like that, and that's what I would recommend. So
I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm just gonna. I like using it like it's mixing as I'm pouring the salt in. But I think I probably don't even need that. I probably just need it moving through the bottom half.
I bet that would create a better situation.
Probably solve a lot of what's going on.
You know what I think also.
But when I get my Fritz box, it'll probably be perfect anyway.
As always, we're gonna definitely give Melev his salt.
Melev.
Yeah. Melev. But I would say there is salts too that they use anhydrous magnesium, and I'm against the anhydrous magnesium.
I've been using it for years. I mean, literally buy magnesium pronto from Two Little Fishies. That's just amazing. And one little bottle makes like 5 gallons of magnesium.
Not anhydrous magnesium to add to your aquarium. I think that I would be okay with that. It's inside your salt mix.
In the salt mix.
You know why I would do that? It's because of the temperature spike that is created.
It warms it up.
And then I think that temperature spike interrupts the ionic balance. I think it spikes it. It causes some extra precipitation that you wouldn't have had. And if you made it in a perfect ionic mix, and these blenders can only do so well. But I can get boron to 5 to 7 parts per million, so I feel pretty confident.
It's a good number.
That I can get calcium to like 420 to 430, right? So, or 440. And you can go to our website and you see our guaranteed analysis. It's going to fall between these numbers, and we test that. But if now you're spiking your temperature and you get your alkalinity to fall just a little bit because that temperature raised up too high, that's why I wouldn't use the anhydrous magnesium. But there has been other manufacturers that do it, and they swear by it. And again, it's just my opinion.
I just, everyone's situation is a little different too. In my situation, I'm making 250 ounces of salt water at a time. I mean, I filled the vat with RODI. I've tried mixing it with no heat in the water, like just it's the room temperature. Then I tried warming it up a little bit, get it to like 77. Now I had the salt. It made no difference. I still continue to deal with what I wasn't liking, and I'm pouring in about 88 pounds of salt to make that batch. So and I'm putting it in like 8 little buckets that are 11 pounds each to get that 88 pounds. So I'm going up a ladder and pouring in 11 pounds, and I walk down the ladder and go into the garage and scoop it on my barrel, and walk and weigh it, and then I walk back up my ladder and I go in. So I'm not like dumping in 88 pounds at one. It's literally 20 minutes of back and forth, right? And yet I was still dealing with stuff. Well, what I'd love to do, I'd love to own a 3D printer and be one of those people that makes that Christmas scene, the one I'm talking about with the railroad tracks and the snow and the trees. But I want to make a little conveyor belt where I can pour my salt onto the belt, and the belt just takes it up to the top container and pours it in.
Why don't you, and Jacob does this. Jacob Blankenship, right? He's a DIYer for sure.
Yeah, could he make me that?
No, he wouldn't make you that at all. He would make you one that pumps from your pump through your attic and all the way down to your aquarium.
Yeah.
And like you would turn it on and you would pump it to your
Well,
aquarium from your vat.
the container and the tank are near each other. It's just getting the salt into the container, no matter where it is.
I'm
You
sorry.
know, it's the salt.
I was
process
thinking about
that
you
sucks.
taking it down and taking it over to your aquarium.
No. I'm literally talking about putting salt into the vat. It's just work. I hate that part. But what I've used Fritz in the past. It's not like Fritz is a new thing to me.
Yeah.
I used it for probably half a year or a year.
Yeah.
I went through multiple boxes, had no issues with it. I remember the only problem I had was trying to I remember doing this silly thing. I felt like that. There was this movie where they had to defuse a bomb and they had like a 3-gallon container and a 5-gallon container and they had to get 4 gallons, but if they messed up, everyone's going to die in the courtyard.
Yeah.
And here I was with my box of salt trying to pour out half a box and get just the right amount of weight, and I'm trying to move them back. Oh my god, it was so ridiculous. And you're like, why didn't you just do such and such? Like, I don't know. I was trying to get the right amount of weight. And
How much gallons of water do you change at a time?
It depends. It could be something as low as 20 gallons.
Yeah.
Because I'm like siphoning some sand bed.
Yeah.
It could be 100 gallons.
Yeah.
It could be 150 gallons. It could be 80 gallons. If I just want to take out the water out of the skimmer section, the return zone, that's like 60 gallons, maybe 70.
So that's why you have such a large vat, because you can do so much at once. And
Right.
So, because I like to mix up. I mean, I have a 156-gallon tank, and so we're only going to do a 30-gallon water change, a 35-gallon water change at once. And so I would
You do
never
it once a month?
I mean, Abby likes to do it every couple of weeks, but honestly, sometimes it's every couple months because we travel all the time, and so you just get behind, and then that's when she'll do a larger water change, like you're saying, you know. And so, but best practice would be once every few weeks, really. How often do you like to change?
Personally, I like to do 50% every week.
Every week?
She's crazy.
Oh my goodness, you
You-
need turbo start.
You can't do 50% water changes in 5 days.
I do.
That's
I
a freshwater
that's
thing.
That's what I love to do. It's just,
That's
I
a
like
lot.
it. I
It's
like it.
ridiculous.
I like it. I like the way all my corals react and
Can we see
swell
what
up,
the
and
community's saying
just-
about that?
I changed
I
10
just like
gallons.
it.
I changed 10 gallons on Caitlin's 27-gallon.
There you go.
And that's whatever that is, 40%? I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a lot.
I don't
It's
know.
2
I
buckets
just-
of salt water.
I don't know. I just always liked it. I've done it across a variety of sizes of tanks, anywhere from like a 32-gallon BioCube to
Yeah.
180 gallon to, now it does take all day if you do multi-100
Sure.
gallon
Yeah.
tanks. But yeah, I'm always bigger is better for water changes.
I think you can't do that. You cannot change that much water. Well, you can. But would you do it weekly?
Mhm.
I wouldn't.
Especially during summer.
With
in the
Caitlin's tank-
store, especially in the summer, in the store, just like, what else am I gonna do?
With Caitlin's tank, I was doing 5 a
Any
week
water?
because that's the only filtration. But
Yeah.
then I got to that lull where like, okay, I can just skip a week or I'm busy or whatever. And like a whole month went by. I was like, I need to change some.
You're like, ooh.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna have to talk amongst yourself. My daughter just arrived, so I'm
Okay.
gonna have sneak her by us.
Okay.
You guys will see her as she comes back across the aquarium. But
Across the aquarium.
Across the aquarium.
yeah.
All right, Abby.
Okay.
Do a dance. Don't you know one of those dances from the games?
Oh, yeah, like the best case. Dude, I haven't done a
Oh,
Fortnite
man.
dance in so long.
There you go. There your Fortnite dance. Yeah.
Yeah. There's not enough room to do the worm. I'm really good at it.
Oh my goodness. No. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, gosh.
All right.
So-
We have no topic. Come
So
up with a topic.
what is your all-time favorite fish?
You know, I've always loved.
Whether you've owned it or not owned it.
I've always loved the mandarin,
Regular?
the blue one.
Yeah.
The big blue psychedelic one that they say is not
Yeah,
psychedelic
The
at all.
hummingbird of the ocean.
Yeah,
That's what I call
it's
it.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then a fish
It's
I've never
responsible
owned.
for getting so many people into the hobby.
Yeah,
It's literally the reason why Sean even got into the hobby.
really.
Yeah, that fish is probably the most popular eye-catching fish that pulls anybody into
Yeah.
it. 100%.
I have always
And then you get told, no, no, you can't have that fish.
too early.
You can wave at those people. See.
And say hi.
Say hi.
Hi, Harper.
You're gonna be famous
Say
now.
hi. Oh, she's.
Aw, being shy.
A fish I'd like to get one day is gonna be the conspiculatus,
Oh, no.
the big angelfish. I think
Yeah.
they're so beautiful.
Man, they eat like cray-cray.
Yeah, it would have to be its own tank.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna eat coral. I
Yeah,
think
it's... I mean,
I need to do like a
if you
fish
want to
only.
give it a nice, accurate diet, you do the right thing and you give it
Yeah.
coral,
Oh,
like your extras.
Have a sun coral.
Here's a frag, frag of the day. Here you go.
Frag of
And
the
you
day.
give it some extra. I think that's fair if you're keeping the fish in captivity.
Yeah.
Because then you're still providing it with the appropriate nutritional needs that it would get in the wild.
Yeah. Here's a fun
That might be
Gia.
controversial.
Here's a hammer coral.
No, not a hammer.
Yeah. Hey, did you see that story that I shared on Facebook about, it was from Vincent Chalet, about these snails that eat acropora? Snails, like literally, like you would think,
No, but
cleanup crew.
no, but it doesn't surprise me. There's literally got to be something that can eat anything in the ocean.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And then there's something that can also eat that
yeah,
to keep
Always.
it in check.
always. And that was the
Always.
point. That was the point of the story.
Always.
So these snails, I don't remember the name and I'd look it up, but you guys are on my phone. So we're just going to say snail.
Yeah.
They're in Indonesia. They're a huge problem. They're destroying the acropora, and when they run out of acropora, then they're going to attack such and such, they believe, which is the
Yeah.
hammer, the wall hammer.
Mhm.
And they said the thing that eats it is the humpback
Parrot?
parrotfish. Yeah, I think parrotfish is right. These huge fish, because fishermen are catching them. They're catching too many, and they're taking away the predator that eats these snails. So now the divers are going down, and they're getting bags of these snails. And they're super visible at night when they come up and get on top of the coral. But all day, they are down at the bottom. And let me tell you this,
It almost sounds like a pyramid snail relative.
they were big,
Yeah.
big snails. Like, they look like astrias or something. But the funny thing is that all those, yeah, I know, you're listening to the snail story, and you're showing snails.
Oh.
These snails have the best looking coralline on their shells I've ever seen. So,
It's because they stay underneath,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
they're gonna have the super bright colors, which
They
is
do.
what a
They're
lot
bright
of people,
pink
which
and
is
they
what
look
a
like
lot
the
of
rock.
people don't know
Yeah.
is that sometimes in really mature tanks, when you go to tear it out, the prettiest coralline is literally hiding underneath.
under the rock, yeah.
It's underneath. You're like, oh, I have the best coralline.
Yes.
Everybody's gonna love this, and then in 3 days it's like back to normal, and you're like, oh, what happened? But yeah, they probably are cool colors though.
Well, listen, I think we should end this. We've been going for an hour and a half, and I feel like my phone will just conk or lose connection, and it'll just abort. I'd rather end my stream so it doesn't get lost. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sorry I couldn't read your comments. I will read them later, and I will answer you guys on YouTube. So say bye to these two nice people.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks so
Now,
much, guys.
before we leave ours, I want to see if there's any more questions for us on YouTube.